Hi everyone, to part 2 of the story of Samson in the book of Judges, the Old Testament, just so you know. Now, where were we? Oh yes, chapter 15. Samson's vengeance on the Philistines. Later on, during the wheat harvest, Samson took a young goat as a present to his wife. He said, "I'm going into my wife's room to sleep with her," but her father wouldn't let him in. "I truly thought you must hate her," her father explained, "so I gave her in marriage to your best man. But look, her younger sister is even more beautiful than she is. Marry her instead." Imagine that. Man. Samson said, "This time I cannot be blamed for everything I am going to do to you Philistines." Samson's angry. Then he went out and caught 300 foxes. 300 foxes. Man, he tied, that's a lot of foxes, 300 foxes. He tied their tails together in pairs, and he fastened a torch to each pair of tails. Then he lit the torches and let the foxes run through the grain fields of the Philistines. He burned all their grain to the ground, including the sheaves and the uncut grain. He also destroyed the vineyards and olive groves. He's angry. "Who did this?" the Philistines demanded. "Samson," was the reply, "because his father-in-law from Timnah gave Samson's wife to be married to his best man." So the Philistines went and got the woman and her father and burned them to death. Oh, crikey. Crikey. He burned the woman and her father to death. Okay, let's move on. "Because you did this," Samson vowed, "I won't rest until I take my revenge on you." So he attacked the Philistines with great fury and killed many of them. I think we can safely say that he's angry. Just like the Hulk, he's angry. Then he went to live in a cave in the rock of Etam. The Philistines retaliated by setting up camp in Judea and spreading out near the town of Lihia. The men of Judea asked the Philistines, "Why are you attacking us?" The Philistines replied, "We've come to capture Samson. We've come to pay him back for what he did to us." So 3,000 men of Judea went down to get Samson at the cave in the rock of Etam. They said to Samson, "Don't you realize the Philistines rule over us? What are you doing to us?" But Samson replied, "I only did to them what they did to me." But the man of Judea told him, "We have come to tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines." "All right," said Samson, "but promise that you won't kill me yourselves." So they're taking Samson. Here we go. "We will only tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines," they replied. We won't kill you." So they tied him up with 2 new ropes and brought him up from the rock. As Samson arrived at Lehi, the Philistines came shooting in triumph, but the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon Samson, and he snapped the ropes on his arms as if they were burnt strands of flax, and they fell from his wrist. Then he found the jawbone of a recently killed donkey. Always a donkey. Donkey's so useful. Then he found the jawbone of a recently killed donkey. He picked it up and killed 1,000 Philistines with it. Then Samson said, "With the jawbone of a donkey I've piled them in heaps. With the jawbone of a donkey, I've killed 1,000 men. When he finished his boasting, he threw away the jawbone, and the place was named Jawbone Hill. Okay, here we go. Samson was now very thirsty, and he cried out to the Lord, "You have accomplished this great victory by the strength of your servant. Must I now die of thirst and fall into the hands of these pagans?" So God caused water to gush out of a hollow in the ground at Lehiah, and Samson was revived as he drank. Then he named that place the spring of the one who cried out, and it is still in Lehiah to this day. Samson judged Israel for 20 years during the period when the Philistines dominated the land. So now Samson's the big guy on campus. Now let's move on. Chapter 16. I think we might go in for a landing. So let's go. Samson carries away Gaza's gates. That's the title of this chapter. One day Samson went to the Philistines' town of Gaza and spent the night with a prostitute. Word soon spread that Samson was there, so the men of Gaza gathered together and waited all night at the town gate. They kept quiet during the night, saying to themselves, "When the light of morning comes, we will kill you." But Samson stayed in bed only until midnight. Then he got up, took hold of the doors of the town gate, including the 2 posts, and lifted them up, bar and all. He put them on his shoulders and carried them all the way to the top of the hill, across the Hebron. Oh, this guy was strong. Okay. Now we move on. Chapter 16, verse 4. The title of this one is Samson and Delilah. The one people mostly know. I don't think they read the beginning. Just the Samson and Delilah part. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's move on. Samson and Delilah. Sometime later, Samson fell in love with a woman named Delilah. Very interesting. Who lived in the valley of Sorok. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "Entice Samson to tell you what makes him so strong, and he can be overpowered and tied up securely. Then each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver." So Delilah said to Samson, "Please tell me what makes you so strong, and what it would take to tie you up securely." Samson replied, "If I were tied up with 7 new bowstrings that have not yet been dried, I would become as weak as anyone else." So the Philistine rulers brought Delilah 7 new bowstrings, and she tied Samson up. Samson up with them. She had hidden. I'm lost. She had hidden some men in one of the inner rooms of her house, and she cried out, "Samson, the Philistines have come to capture me. Capture Samson." But Samson snapped the bowstrings as a piece of string snaps when it is burned by a fire. So the secret of his strength was not discovered. Afterward, Delilah said to Samson. Now let me put a bit of character into this. So Delilah said to Samson, "Samson, you've been making fun of me and telling me lies. Now please, tell me how you can be tied up securely." Samson replied, "If I were tied up with brand new ropes that had never been used, I would become as weak as anyone else." So Delilah took new ropes and tied him up with them. The men were hiding in the inner room as before, and again Delilah cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. But again, Samson snapped the ropes from his arms as if they were threads. Thread. It's too strong for them, come on. Then Delilah said this. This Delilah keeps nagging Samson, okay. Then Delilah said, "You've been making fun of me and telling me lies. Now tell me how you can be tied up securely." Samson replied, "If you were to weave the 7 braids of my hair into the fabric on your loom and tighten it with the loom shuttle, I would become as weak as anyone else." So while he slept, Delilah wove the 7 braids of his hair into the fabric. So I think she's doing some dreadlocks on Samson. Wove the 7 braids of his hair into the fabric. Then she tightened it with the loom shuttle. Again she cried out, "Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. They have come to capture you." But Samson woke up and pulled back the loom shuttle and yanked his hair away from the loom and the fabric. Then Delilah pouted, "How can you tell me I love you? How can you tell me I love you when you don't share your secrets with me? You've made fun of me 3 times now and you still haven't told me what makes you so strong." She tormented him. She tormented him with her nagging day after day until he was so sick to death of it. If I was Samson, I would have just said, "Listen, it's spinach, alright? Spinach. Oh, I've been I'm like the Hulk." Yeah, spinach, like Popeye. That's why I'm so strong. Or I eat all my vitamins, all my vitamins, and my fruits and my salads. That's why I'm strong. But no, this Delilah keeps nagging Samson, and he's sick of it, sick to death of it. Finally, here we go. So chapter 16, verse 17. Finally. I think I'm going to end it there, because this video has run 12 minutes. Man, time flies when you're having fun.